Are you breathing right air? Are you drinking the right type of water? Are you in this space? If I survive, if I consume all the natural resources, am I going to survive? That's the talk right now. All these COP15s and the Greta Thunbergs, that is what they're talking about. They are only propagating what is going to happen in the future. But for us, we look at the actual future and say, let's resolve this, come to a solution right now.
Hey, hello and welcome everybody to Career Talks with Mentoria. My name is Nikhar Arora and I'm one of the founders and CEO of Mentoria. Our passion is to help you discover yours, and through these webinars, through these talk shows, we want to give you a very realistic understanding of the career that you're getting into. The more you know, the better and informed your career and educational decisions. Today, we're going to have an incredible conversation on the world of environmental engineering and building a career in it. We have with us the perfect guest to guide all of us through this field. Please welcome Vidya Wagh. She's currently a chartered engineer who's working as a team lead for the Environment Practice Division of WS Atkins India. She's accumulated 18 plus years of experience within the industry by working in the US and in India. Vidya has built a solid academic profile by studying MSc in Environmental Engineering at Syracuse University, Environmental Law and Policy at NLU in Delhi, and an Executive MBA at IIM Kozhikode. Let's get to know her a little better and her amazing journey. Vidya, thank you so much for taking the time out and joining us here today. For the audience watching in, could you give us a little bit of an introduction of yourself and the kind of work that you do?
Sure. So my name is Vidya Wagh. I have over 18 plus years of experience as an environmental engineer, mostly the consulting background. Currently, I'm the team lead and principal consultant at WS Atkins India. I've been here about 3 months. Before that, I actually worked for 2 other consultancies, and then before that, I was in the US for 6 years. So my first job actually was in the US, and I'm more trained in environmental engineering in the US because I did my master's there. Currently, my role is managing a team of 25 professionals. They are all from various backgrounds in environment. We work for the UK region. That means our projects are mostly based out of UK. And so that's pretty much how my profile is. I also get to work on some of the UK projects that are out there. I'm project managing and also a technical lead on a couple of projects there. So environmental field is a little bit vast and it has multiple facets. So it only does not include just environmental engineering. You can have geologists, you can have chemical engineers, you can have civil engineers taking this path. It's a vast field and you can do multiple things within this, but it basically includes few terminologies like site assessments, and I'll go into a little bit more detail later during the interview, but some site assessments, and then latest we have buzzwords like sustainability, climate change, climate resilience, environmental social governance. It also includes some contaminated land, air pollution, air quality, noise assessments, noise quality. So a lot of things that actually could harm the environment fall under this entire environment field. So you don't need to be an environmental engineer, but if you do, then you will face all of these, and understanding of these is important. But all these are career paths, and all of these can be individual career paths that can actually be taken. And whether you can also have a science background, you can have a chemistry background, you can even be an environmental scientist in this, you can do an MSc in environmental science. So a lot of facets to it, a lot of different paths to pick. And I think for me, my focus is mostly on contaminated land, which basically says that if I pollute the soil and groundwater, I'm going to design something that I'm going to clean up the groundwater and soil. And now with all the water scarcity and water requirement, I think that's right now most priority for India. So it encompasses quite a bit of things, and even other disciplines can actually take part in it. An environmental scientist basically will have a very strong science background. He could be from a chemistry background. He could be from an MSc in environmental science background. Mostly, they would look at contaminants that are within the environment. So, what is affecting the environment? What is causing the problem? They will look at the data. They will know how to collect the data, how to interpret the data, and how to bring it to the table, saying, okay, this is the problem and this is what we're facing. Then it goes to an environmental engineer, where the environmental engineer says, okay, I have something that I can design to eliminate this problem. So that's where an environmental engineer comes into play. But over years of experience, a scientist can also design the system. But eventually, outside India, these things need to be attested by a professional engineer. So that's how the process works. So the system of how to clean up and how it needs to be done typically comes to an environmental engineer, and that's how there's a difference between a scientist and an engineer.
Got it. So what I understand from what you're saying is an environmental scientist is largely research-based, right? To figure out what is going wrong and what are the potential solutions that can solve it. When it comes to building those solutions, an environmental engineer either has to build them or attest them for them to actually go out there and, be implemented in the world. Is that a fair understanding?
Well, the scientist also collects the initial part of the data that an engineer needs to build the solution. So the scientist is very important in terms of going into the field, collecting the data, ensuring he's collecting the right type of data, and he will have an understanding of what to collect, how to collect, evaluate it, and then submit it to the engineer saying, okay, now you go and collect data, what you would, in addition to what I have done, for what you would need to build a solution to this. So it's a team of people that work and in this you will get geologists, you'll get geotech engineers. You can have civil engineers when I design a system saying, oh, I need something in civil to be done or plumbing to be done. Mechanical engineer can also get involved. So multiple people get involved in actually designing, not only collecting the data, but also designing the system. So any path you choose will, and if you're really interested, then could lead you into the environment. It depends on what the problem is. So we could be creating some soil, groundwater problem. We could be solving that, or air. If there's an issue with pollution, dust, or emissions, right? Industries have emissions that come out. Then air problems. It depends on what is the issue with the environment, and we could be solving any of these problems depending on what is either the client asking us to do, government asking us to do. It depends on the project, on what we are actually looking at. Sometimes all of these are problems, and then you resolve all of these problems, and various people will get involved at various stages of these. So in an environmental project can last from a year to 20, 25, 30 years. So we can see from how the environment is degraded by now that we need more environmental engineers to solve these problems. And these are not something that does overnight. So it takes years to solve these problems. So for me, my passion actually started when I was in my bachelor's, and I did a project on sewage water treatment plant. And I started thinking about what else is out there, what else are people discharging into the environment. For me, that curiosity led me to see, okay, let me do my master's and see what else is out there. I knew UK, US were actually quite advanced in what they do. So I moved to the US to do my master's. Academically, it's very different than what they teach here. Here it's mostly water, wastewater, but there it's more air quality and noise and soil, groundwater. There are multiple facets to it, even rivers, surface water, everything. Whatever is contaminated, even ecology falls into it. So when I moved to the US, I found there are more avenues for me to actually explore. But my specialization, I was very much interested in more soil and groundwater type of work, But for me, I think I look at the career as something that is required in today's age with sustainability. So in India, mostly sustainability, climate change, climate resilience works a lot more in India. We are not there yet with soil and groundwater. We don't have regulations to actually do that. Select clients do that just because they have a global policy to make sure they comply with it. But for the most part in India, how to build green cities, right? How to build how to take the existing problem and how to make sure industries are not emitting as much as they're emitting. making sure they get compliant and making sure that they are following green policies. They are making sure there's less emissions, there are less discharges, and most discharges that go have a lot of chemicals or of contaminants in them. So there's a lot of things in India going on that front, which is mostly the initial part of it. The solution part of it is not there yet because we don't have regulations, and most people are like, well, no regulations, why am I doing this? So for people to choose a career right now, I would definitely say more go into sustainability, ESG, sustainable finance, climate change, climate resilience type of thing in India. Down the line, 6-7 years down the line, trust me, I'm probably going to be needed to clean up whatever is gone already bad in the ground. Well, if you're passionate about environment, if you want to save the earth, if that is where you're going, then you would want to choose this career because you can do a lot. So as an environment, so for example, a civil engineer, right? A civil engineer, he enjoys building things. He enjoys creating new infrastructure, enjoys that path, creating better highways, better buildings, better architecture. For an environmental engineer, are you breathing right air? Are you drinking the right type of water? Are you in this space? If I survive, if I consume all the natural resources, am I going to survive? That's the talk right now. All these COP15s and the Greta Thunbergs, that is what they're talking about. They are only propagating what is going to happen in the future. But for us, we look at the actual future and say, let's resolve this, come to a solution right now. So that we, in the future, whether it is us or it is our kids or the future generation, have air to breathe, or even pure air to breathe, or pure water to drink. These are basic needs. We are looking at basic needs that need to be fulfilled right now that we're looking at. So even tomorrow, say a soil is impacted, right? There's chemicals within the soil. You're growing, you're agricultural in that nature. So our agriculture grows through the soil. Imagine all that chemical going into what you're growing, and you're eating that food. So it's that core, it's basically everyday food that goes into your mouth that you are actually cleaning. So how much more passion, or what else do you need? Your survival is purely based on this. So that's what I would say students should go for. And it's a very upcoming field. When I graduated, it was nothing like that here. Now there is a bachelor's in environmental engineering. There is a master's in environmental engineering right here in India from fantastic universities and colleges within India. So it's definitely something that you can explore, and even a civil, mechanical, or a chemical person could actually go into an environmental and ace it. Academic background, you can be just a bachelor's. I would say if you're in engineering, you can be just a bachelor's and still get into the field. If you're from science, then you preferably do a master's in science. Master's in environmental science is more preferable. You can do certificate courses. Even folks who have done chemistry, folks who have done geology, zoology, anybody from that field. If you're doing a science particular focus field, then I would do a master's definitely. In engineering, you can get into through a bachelor's. Eventually, if you feel that you want to do a master's just to enhance your knowledge, or you feel that that's how my career is going to take me, you can do that as well. But as engineering, a bachelor's is more than enough actually for you to get into this career. Most important part in environmental is you get field experience. You start very early. You start getting internships. First year, second year of engineering. Try during that summer or during the time that you have break, try getting internships. Your field experience counts the most in environmental field, because yes, theoretical is great, you learn quite a bit, but practical knowledge in environment is very important. You have to face the field before you actually will start moving in your career. I would say in India, VIT has a very good course. It's in the south. And they have a very good course on environmental engineering, but you have other universities as well. Unfortunately, I'm not very clear on India, but a lot of the universities now have included environmental engineering as a branch. Mostly in environmental engineering, your technical background matters quite a bit. So if you're going to take the technical path, then eventually you will do a master's. Eventually you will also go something as a professional engineer or a chartership. Chartership is offered in India as well, and chartership is offered outside of India as well. But eventually, if technical is where you want to get, then chartership is something that I would strongly recommend as an engineer, because it helps. Even scientists have chartered scientists. So geologists have a chartered geologist. So there's a lot of pathways that you can take. Eventually, you will want to get there. But to get there, they ask for experience. So ideally 4 to 5 years of experience in the field, working within the field, working in various projects, getting the understanding of what it is what is more important in an environmental field. Getting field experience and project experience is what is going to get you out there. So for a chartership is like a professional engineer. That means you can stamp on something saying, oh, I authorize this particular work or this particular report or this particular design. And that engineer is responsible for whatever happens after that, the implementation phase. So as a chartership, you also have authority. You can join various organizations. You can give out speeches. You can give out knowledges. You can do research. You can do a lot of things with the chartership. You also interact with other members of the chartership, and you kind of gain knowledge from them on what is new in the field, what else is happening in the field. There's a lot of information that comes to you when you become like a chartership or join and become a chartered member. So some of those are a lot of advantages, but they come, I would say, 4 to 5 years after you've started your career. You can start working towards it. You need credits. You need somebody to vouch for you, somebody to sponsor for you. And that only comes when you start working within the field and kind of create that relationship. Somebody says, oh, I vouch for you. You're a fantastic engineer, so why don't you apply for chartership? And then that's how it works. It's like a sponsorship that somebody says, you're a fantastic engineer. Now I authorize you to be an engineer from now on. This is actually tricky. So for me, I never had education or opportunity in India. So during my time, this is almost 25 years ago, opportunities were not there. But right now, there are a lot of opportunities to do actually environmental engineering. They're offering chartership here in India in environmental engineering as well. So it's a known field. Everybody knows about it. You have a lot of opportunities in India as well. However, there's a huge technical gap when what is in India and what is out abroad. They are way more advanced. They are already there. They're beyond, they are not in their industrial revolution yet. They are environmental revolution. So they have advanced technologies. They have new ways of thinking. They do things in a new way. Technically, they are a lot more advanced, and we're not there yet in India. So if you want to learn more, I would do recommend go abroad and try masters. But people have built careers without that as well here, and people have mastered what they have done. It depends on what you want to do, what you want to pick, which direction within environment do you want to take. So for sustainability ESG, there are tons of certification courses on Coursera, on Udemy, on EDU. There are tons of them that you can take and get a certification, and it's valid. These days with COVID, actually a lot of the masters are online. A lot of the certifications from foreign universities are online. So if you don't want to go physically there, these are the other options that you can actually try for. I somewhere feel COVID probably has been a boon to kind of bring all of these out into the market. So those are some of the options. We never had those options, I'm going to be very honest. So I'm amazed by the amount of boom that has happened in the educational field because of COVID. So those are definitely good options to go for. And plus interaction with students there. Sometimes you get market leaders coming to the universities and talk about it. Some of those definitely help, webinars and things like that. But just basic interaction and the type of courses that you get, I think it's fantastic. It's phenomenal outside of India. If you can't afford it, these are available online as well, because these days getting into masters is a little bit tricky, and with the visa and all of that, it becomes too much of a headache. But recommended, but not, I would not say absolutely important to do it. I think field experience working within the consultancy or industry has more weightage than actually education, because what you learn in practical experience in environment There is no comparison to it with education. Definitely US, UK are the top in the line for these. They offer the best that is out there. They're more latest. They are more technologically advanced. They have better regulations that you can learn. See, every environment is very country specific, so it differs from country to country. Regulations are different in every country. So no matter what your base foundation is in terms of technical knowledge, you still have to understand regulations within that particular country. So for me, when I came back here in 2011 from the US, for me, that was my foremost challenge. I came from a background where I had to learn US regulations. But when I came to India, that's when I decided I want to do something in environmental law and policy, because it was very important to understand local regulations. And some of these you understand only when you're in a job. So I would definitely say US, UK has the best. After that, I would say Canada and maybe Australia. Typically, I would say consultancies. So there are a lot of environmental consultants within India. Majority would hire interns for a month or two, because during the summer is when the majority of the load and field work happens. So they will need people to assist them, especially, and that is when you would learn. The 2 months, it'll be rigorous. It'll be like a 14-hour day, 15-hour day that you have to spend in the field. It'll be in some remote location. There might be or might not be bathrooms. There might not be food or anything. You will have to carry food and all of that. But that's the experience that you want, because environment is not just urban city. We are majority 70% agricultural. We are all in remote locations. Industries are in the remote locations. Impacts happen in remote locations, in industrial zones where there are not such facilities. So a lot of consultancies, a lot of industries. So industries would look at environmental health and safety lead, or somebody who would help them with the health and safety within their industry. That would also definitely help us internship. So when you do internship, I wouldn't go for, say, I want to focus on this. Do whatever you actually get on your plate, because it's an experience, it's a lesson, and you will definitely learn something out of it. You will eventually, when you start building your career, you can start focusing on what I actually want to do. But when you're in your initial years, I would say do anything and everything that is thrown at your plate, because you're just gaining more knowledge at that point. And when you start that early, by the time you're out of college, you have some experience that you can show for. People are very ready to hire when you have that experience in your pocket, because then they're able to educate you further when you move into a job environment. They don't have to sit down and give you a lesson by lesson on how this needs to be done. So that's why I would suggest strongly being internship. And LinkedIn has tons of opportunities. You can see companies you can actually filter using environment, and you will see tons of opportunities out there that are in India. So definitely to go for it. You also have internship where I work. So I work for a consultancy, and for me, say summer comes and I have tons of work, tons of projects. I am looking out in the market for internships, and if you are able to, join for a couple of months just to take the load off of us. And things like that. So consultancies definitely are the top choice as of now. You learn a lot from consultants. Definitely ERM, Environmental Resource Management, is one. Arcadis is one. You have WS Atkins. You have WSP. You have Jacobs. These are the top 5 in the market currently. You have Kadam Environmental as well. You can get a crack at them. But there are tons of other smaller environmental agencies as well, consultants who do smaller works, but then they are the core work that you actually need to understand before you get to the larger space of work. So tons of them, but these are the top I would definitely recommend to apply for. Typically look out for people who are in this field. So I'm one of those people. You can approach me on LinkedIn, and then I will see if I have internship. Most of the time I get inquiries saying, do you have candidates, or do you have people that you can recommend, things like that. So look out for people who are within my network, or and then you can branch out. But LinkedIn is the best space these days. So that is the best social media for right now, connecting, networking. Start from when you are in the beginning. Look out for who are the industry leaders, who are based out of that, read through their profiles, connect with them, have a chat with them. There are mentoring that happens through LinkedIn as well. So say if you have a chat with somebody and say, hey, can you give me a little bit more information on what you do you have openings and things. That's the best way to actually get the word out. Most of the time people do find if they do networking quite a bit. So networking is the way to go. I would say read quite a bit. Read the online information. There is a lot out there. People are talking about it. Find out what is this COP27, what is this COP15 that people are talking about. What are these things that are happening around the world? What is the Paris Agreement? What does that mean? When somebody says sustainability, what does that mean? How do I break it down? How do I break down sustainability? Reading and getting information online is very important. There are courses, certificate courses that you can do. Even when you're in college, you need not get the certificate at that point, but you can still do the run through the courses. Coursera allows you to do the course, and only you have to pay for the certificate. But if you don't know the certificate, you can still run through the course, and you can say, I've learned these things out of the course. So there are a lot of information out there that you can do. Network and talk to the leaders in out there. There are tons of them, and they will all give you all the information that you need. I would say there are a lot of environmental newsletters out there. They are not particularly based out of India, but they are based out of US, UK. There are a bunch of them. If you just Google environmental newsletters, there's like a whole litter of pages that will actually show up. I have a bunch of them, but then I will have to actually physically share it. But they are very good. You will find a ton of them. If you need direction on what to read, then approach us and leaders in the business. We will definitely be able to guide you. But as a bachelor's, I would definitely say get internships and get into the job. Even if you plan to do a master's, it's okay. Do a master's, but get into the job. Get field experience. That is nothing as precious as getting field experience and working within the industry. Working within the industry is very crucial for being in the environmental field. So you would start with, I would say, definitely consultancies within government. You can start within government, but in India, if you want to get into government, you need some approach or somebody that you can push your job through. Industries, definitely. Industries do hire junior level, very, very junior level staff that you can actually start with. But I would say best bet, start with consultancies. There is no other experience than consultancy. The first month, they will put you into the field. They are going to actually run you through various things. And what you want to look for is something that you will only figure out after 3-4 years of being within the consultancy, because you wouldn't know in the first year what it is I want to do, because everything is fascinating. Every single field is fascinating. It depends on what project you actually get to do. You have to pick the field only after 3-4 years of working in everything and anything that you can get your hands on. And once you get into the company, you know what the company does, what projects they do, how you basically need to push your supervisor and say, hey, I want to be part of this project. Can you put me in here? You have to have the enthusiasm. They will not put themselves, but you have to have the enthusiasm to push for it. And that's why you need the passion, you need the hard work, you need to be disciplined, most importantly, because it's not an easy job. It's hardcore field work. So you would start probably at 6 a.m. in the morning and you won't be home until 7-8 p.m. in the night. And this could be not within where you live. It could be anywhere in India. So it could be as remote as possible. So you need to be prepared for travel. You need to be prepared for carrying heavy stuff. You need to be prepared to have some few sleepless nights. Initially, when you're there, that is what is required for you to actually work hardcore in this field. That's the only way you get the experience. If you want luxury of, oh no, I only work 8 hours, you're not going to get that. This is not that type of field. So minimum 12 hours initially in your career is absolutely required. Let me start with, if you start as a junior person, right out of college, you've just got in, you are going to be in the field for at least the first 2 to 3 years easily. You will be the person who will go in and out of field. You'll be traveling, you'll be doing reports, you will have a manager who you report to, you will have a technical supervisor that you will report to. You'll be trained, you'll be mentored only in the field, and as you go within the field, that is how you need to work with multiple people. You will work only in teams. There is no individual project. You can do individual projects, but you still have to work with other field people to actually get through. So your day will range from 12 to 13 hours in a day, doing field work, traveling, writing reports. That's how your junior will start. Oh, okay. So we collect data in the field. So there will be drilling. You will be overseeing subcontractors who will be doing drilling. You will be collecting samples, whether it is soil samples or it's water samples. If you're doing a site walk, then you will walk around the site and you will look like, how are you discharging the water? Where are you discharging? Are you discharging directly into the sea? Is it being treated later on? How is the treatment system working? Internally, how are you following government regulations? Are you filing the paperwork correctly? Do you have enough paperwork? So it depends on what kind of field work that you're assigned at that point, whether it's an audit or whether it's an actual core drilling that you're doing in the field, or you're just collecting samples and then sending it to the lab, or you're just meeting with the client and telling them, okay, these are your violations that you have, and maybe how do you want to resolve them? It could be anything that you could be doing within the field. Here, what will happen is you will then be given responsibility of small to medium projects. That means entirety from beginning till the end, you will execute those projects, and that would involve interacting with your team members, interacting with the government, interacting with the client, interacting potentially third-party stakeholders. That means it could be a common man who is getting affected because of the environment. You will be dealing with them as well. You'll be speaking to them, explaining to them what is the problem, how you're resolving it. There could be conflicts, there could be fights, there could be arguments. All of these could happen, but these are small and medium projects. So if you've gotten enough experience in your junior side, then you will be able to deal with them, because that's what will season you to become in your mid-year level career, where you say, okay, I can manage these projects, and I can speak to the client, and I can explain to the client what is the problem, how to manage budget, and things like that. So that's where your mid-level career will happen. Now, at a senior level, you become an actual project manager. That means your job is going to manage large projects, large portfolios. And when I say portfolios, that means each client will have 10 projects or 20 projects. It could go up to 100 projects within a portfolio. You would be managing the entire client. That means you are only required to ensure client is giving you projects, you are working well for the client, and your engagements could go high-level government officials. You will be facing high-level clients, their clients who are abroad, or there are global clients that will sit there. So you will get to that level. Or the alternate could be like me, where managing a team of 25 to 30 people, even more. You're a manager, you have multiple managers under you, you're ensuring that everybody gets work, you're kind of working on a larger scale, and you become a technical lead or a project manager who manages large portfolios and complex projects where there are multiple facets of environment that be involved, and you have to be able to manage all of that. So eventually that is what your target is going to be, when you are at a position where you're able to manage complex projects and you have the technical know-how of directing the project in a particular manner or a particular way. Right. So if you start very beginning, no experience at all as fresher, the maximum you would get is 2.5 to 3.5 lakhs per year max. That too, if you join a consultancy. If you join a government, it's even lower than that. Or if you join an industry, even lower than that. MNC, maybe a little bit more than that, but not exceeding 3.5 or 4 lakhs, definitely. As you grow, say the next level, I would say 5 to 6 years of experience. I'm looking at somewhere around 6 to 8 lakhs of per year, per annum. As I move further, I'm looking at more 12 to 15 more closer to 8 to 10 years of experience. Um, Beyond that, then it's your imagination. However you can negotiate and what you bring to the table becomes very important after 8 to 10 years of experience. How you showcase your skills and where you're taking your career is then at your stake, and how you want to negotiate your salary. Typically these days people move from job to job and just to get that 30% increment. But environment is not a very high paying field as of now, but it depends on where you take it. If you go into more private equities and do sustainable finance, climate change, climate resilience, you tend to get to pay more, quite more, around 20 to 25 lakhs. It's a challenges. Definitely, it will keep you on your toes. It's not boring at all. You will be extremely busy. You won't have much time to think about or even casually just sit back and be like, "Haan, kal dekh lenge." No, that never happens. You always have to be on your toes. Environment moves very quickly. You have to be prepared for emergencies, any type of responses that you have to give. Client will wake up in the middle of the night and be like, "Oh, tomorrow morning, can you send somebody into the field? We have a problem with something that is going on in the field." So you have to be prepared for that. Either you are going into the field or you're sending someone into the field. That means you're waking up somebody else in the middle of the night and telling them, "By the way, tomorrow morning you're traveling to this particular location." Being in the field, harsh weather. I have been in the coldest of coldest places, and I've worked in minus 10, minus 20 degree weather. No, I can't even have an excuse because that's what it requires. I have worked in a hottest environment, 40 degrees, 50 degrees, especially in Gujarat. But I can't complain. I cannot, I do not have the option to complain, but you will be working in extreme weathers, wearing tons of things on you. You'll be carrying heavy equipment. Equipment could go bad. Sometimes subcontractors will throw a tantrum. You will have to deal with labor. In India, you majorly deal with labor. They will throw tons of tantrums. Yeah, all of this travel, something would go wrong with the travel. There is no bus anywhere, or there is no private car that did not show up. Client is telling you, "Oh my God, why hasn't the work started? What is going on? Why are you taking such a long time?" So you plan a 1 week worth of work and you go into the field and you're like, "Oh my, this is going to be 2 weeks. How are you going to talk to the client? How are you going to tell the client I have another week of work and you need to budget for that? You need to give me additional money for that?" Standing in the field, you need to make that decision. How it changes within the field, it's like a minute-to-minute decision that you need to make. So you need to be able to handle that pressure, that stress as well. It eventually gets better because you become seasoned to handle these kind of challenges. But the initial stage, that is your challenge when you actually get into the industry. And most people kind of crumble under that pressure. For the most part, so they are not able to take that pressure, or they say, "No, that's it, this is not for me, I'm not going to work on this anymore." So yeah, those are the challenges, and typically you overcome them as you work within the field. If you're passionate and this is what you want to do, I mean, every field has pressure, right? IT has pressure. IT works like 24 hours sometimes, and those are the challenges that you have. Here, you will be working outside in a weather where it is not very comfortable for you. So, yeah. So with environment, I would say environment data is the most important aspect of what we do. So if we don't collect data from the field, and data could be anything, soil quality or water quality, and there are tons of data that we actually collect. Managing this data. So before, when I was there, we used to take a pen and paper and actually sit and write that data. Half the time an 8 and a 5, there is no difference because that's how the writing actually comes to you. So you have to interpret what that number is. These days, there's an electronic way of collecting data. So you actually have like an iPad that comes to you. You type in the data that you see. It automatically goes into a database that is actually already present. And then your project manager or whoever is sitting in the office is able to see that live data go through. So there is never coming into the office, handing over the paper data, converting into an Excel sheet, and struggling with all of that. So we have electronic data collection and management, like a database management that happens. Through that, we have visualization tools. So there are tons of 3D visualizations, and also these days with Power BI and Tableau, all of these dashboards that are coming out. Previously, we used to literally sit and write report, like type the report in, put it in an Excel sheet, have tons of tables, maps, and all of that. These days, Power BI is one of those magic things that happen that, we input the data and we create wonderful visualization that's easy for client to understand of what is actually happening. We are not technically savvy for us to sit and explain. A visualization works very well. We use, so during COVID, one of the things that happened was I was not able to go into the field. So I had folks sitting in the local area who would go into the field. Now, what if I want to see what is happening? So we had something called as On-Site, which is a remote desktop software that comes in a mobile and also comes on your desktop. So while the person is walking, he can actually turn on the camera, and while he's walking, I'm able to see that on the desktop. And I'm able to communicate to him saying that, oh, watch out for that, and say, take a look at that. So some of those things are also technologically that's available. We have drones that are available. We use drone technology. So remote places, we are not able to go, there's a swamp or, path is not accessible. We use tons of drone technology to kind of map the area, see what is out there, and drones can go in places where humans can't go. So some of those are the technologies that are building in this end. And that's another career that you can have. You can become a data analyst for environment. You can become an environmental data analyst. That means your whole day goes into looking at data, organizing the data, and create visualization dashboards. I would say be passionate, have the interest, hard work, dedication, and definitely disciplined if you want to come into this field. It pays out very well if you're passionate about it. You can, if you lose heart in the middle of it, no, this is not the field for you. It's a very rough and hard-working field, but there are a lot of benefits out of it. I would definitely say it's, you have to earn credits, you have to earn karma, but I think as an environmental engineer, you automatically earn that because ultimately it's for the larger good. It is for your own family, it's for your own future of where you want to see, how you want the earth to actually look at, and how you want to breathe the air. So it's something that you have to be absolutely passionate about and work towards it. And it's a fantastic field. It's an upcoming field. I definitely envision India to be in the forefront in the next 5 to 6 years, definitely, because we are heading there. We don't have time for industrial revolution and then go into environmental revolution. We have to work in an industrial revolution and also be sustainable at the same time. And that can only happen if more and more people are actually working in this and trying to figure out various solutions that's happening. There's so much out there in India. We've done so much solar. We've done so much wind farms. In India, we are doing a lot compared to what other countries are actually doing. We are ahead in sustainability game. So definitely scope is there. And for somebody like me, I'm assuming 5 to 6 years down the line, regulations change and I'm in demand.
Thank you so much, Vidya, for taking the time out and giving us these absolutely invaluable insights in terms of how this profession works. And I think together we're going to try and create as much awareness about environmental engineering as possible, because God knows we need more and more environmental engineers to help save our planet and ensure that future generations have a more sustainable and happy and healthy life.
Absolutely.
Right. And thank you so much for the time that you've invested with us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It was my pleasure. I'm hoping I've inspired a few of them to join the field. So.
Absolutely. I'm confident you have.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.